Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go.
So I thought of this, this morning I was thinking, shit, what are we going to talk about this morning? And the only thing I could come up with was, well, when I say the only thing, it sounds like it's like not a very good topic. It really is. It's like actually the best fucking topic in the whole world. And it's something I get really excited about. So we are talking today about consciously creating our lives. And as I was wittering on to myself before you came on, why wouldn't we want to do that? Why would we not want to consciously create our lives? And the thing is, like, it's going to sound like we're getting really, really woo-woo, but actually this is it's quantum physics. It's literally quantum mechanics, quantum physics. There is, it is science. So before anyone starts rolling their eyes and go, oh my God, Lucy's banging on about woo-woo stuff again. No, it's not. It's really not. It's quantum physics. The 16-year-old version of me would be going, what the hell happened to you? Because I never, ever, well, I wasn't listening in physics, and I really wish I had been listening in physics. But anyway, so essentially, what we're talking about here is, if you want to call it manifestation, call it manifestation. What we're talking about here is making a decision to consciously create our lives by becoming consciously aware of how we're thinking and how we're feeling. And what we want to be doing is rehearsing in our minds every freaking day a vision of our future. We want to be living with a vision of our future rather than always being led by this, the memories of the past, those limiting beliefs that we all have about ourselves. Because again, I'm going to botch the hell out of this, but it really does come down to atoms and subatomic particles and the observer effect, because where we are placing our focus, what we are actually observing, is what we are going to draw into our lives. And it's not just like, oh, I'm just going to think about, a brand new house and then it just sort of pops into reality. Of course, it's not as simple as that. But it really, truly is a combination of setting your intention for what it is that you want, having a really clear intention for that. And then we have to elevate our emotions to match that intention. We have to essentially embody that version of ourselves right now. And then, of course, we have to take some freaking action. We can't just visualize and hope and wish and embody. We have to actually take action. But of course, what I have found, and I'm sure you would agree with this, is when you start, when you get really clear on what your intention is, when you get really clear on a vision of where you're going, and you start to embody those emotions and you start to visualize it regularly, it becomes easier to take the actions because you genuinely start to believe in whatever that vision is.
Yeah.
And all I will say is that I have seen this work in my own life. And it is, I as I said at the beginning, this is something I get so insanely excited about because I've really made a point of doing the fucking research, educating myself on all of this stuff. And it's something that we should all be obsessed with because the truth is that we do have so much more agency over our lives than we think we do. And of course, things are always, I'm not saying that we have control over everything. Of course we do not. Of course we don't. And things are always going to happen that are unexpected and bad and all the rest of it, because that's just human life. That is what it is to be human. That is the human experience. However, we do have a certain amount of agency over what our life looks like. But the truth of the matter is that it's what is going on internally that is massively, massively impacting what we are seeing in our lives externally. So, literally, I get so fired up by this subject. I can't even tell you. I cannot even tell you. because it's the thing is because it's exciting, because when
Yeah.
you realize how it actually works, and again, from not from a woo-woo perspective, not from freaking magic, but from a physics perspective,
Yeah.
we are all just energy. We are 99.99999% energy and 0.00001% matter. We are mainly energy. And whatever energy we are putting out there into the quantum field, into the universe, we are going to attract back into our lives. That's just the way that it
Yeah.
works. So I just feel like this mission to kind of bang on about this as much as I possibly can so that people start believing in it too, because it's
Yeah.
really
It
exciting.
is really exciting. And when I learned all of this, it really was like this kind of amazing. It's as if this veil had been lifted and I
Yeah,
saw the world in a completely different way. And I only started learning about it in my 40s.
same.
And once you know about it, you can't kind of, it all suddenly makes sense and you can't go back. And I mean, it was Kathy Heller really who really opened my eyes to all
Yeah.
of this. And then I read so many books. Jen Sincero is very good.
Oh,
Her
she's
books are
brilliant.
very good on this. But the fact that we are mostly energy just makes so much sense because if you just know it, you can feel it.
Yeah.
If you're feeling really depressed and really low, you are very low vibe and you feel it. You're heavy, your energy's heavy. If you're around somebody who's really depressed and low, it sucks, it drains the life out of you. It sucks your energy. You feel it. And so totally the opposite is true. When we are feeling really enthusiastic, really positive, really happy, really excited, you're in a completely different energy, and
Yeah.
your vibration is so much higher. And it's a bit like, and this is what Kathy Heller always used to talk about. You know, if you have a guitar and you pluck one of the strings, an A string, if there's a guitar on the other side of the room, that A string will also start to
Yeah.
vibrate because like attracts like,
Exactly.
and you start vibrating at that same resonance, at that same
Yeah.
frequency. So this stuff is, as you say, it's physics and it works. And
Yeah.
so what we want to do is attract all the good stuff to us. It, you know, and another thing which you might notice that happens if you wake up and you wake up too late, you fall out of bed, you burn your toast, you whatever, you notice that then you're late for work, you miss the bus or whatever happens, and then you get snappy with a colleague, and it's when you start on a bad low, on a bad kind of footing, and your vibration gets lower and lower, you notice that generally a lot of shit things seem to happen
Yeah.
in that day. One thing leads to the next, and that is most probably because your vibration is low. You keep attracting all those things to you. On the other hand, if you start your day with space and positivity and a high vibration, then you are much more likely to float through that day and attract the more positive things to you and have a much better day. And you and I both know that
Yeah.
because we both have our morning routines, which the intention of it is to do exactly that. Start the day with
Yeah.
intention, with a feeling that you want to have a vision of where you want to go.
Yeah.
All of these things are super important to just help you get into that high vibe state so you're more likely to attract what you want, but also to just be really bloody intentional about what it is you want rather than just floating through without any intention whatsoever. Because if you're not thinking about what you really want, then it's very easy just to kind of go between the different states of how you're feeling. You can either be one high vibe 1 minute, but it's very easy the next to let everything get on top of
Yeah.
you and you're not maintaining it. So I suppose the question is to really think about, what are you consistently thinking
Yeah.
about, and
Exactly.
how is that affecting where you're at? How is it affecting what you're attracting to yourself? How is it affecting your actual current reality? Because it might well be, are you someone who feels like the world is against them? You're a victim of your circumstance. It's not your fault. People are always, wrong. If you are in that sort of victim mentality,
Yeah.
then you're going to be attracting more of that sort of stuff towards you. what we've got to do is take control. You have control, and that's what's the that's what it's the completely exciting thing is that we have control, and this is what we're always talking about. You have control of how you are thinking, what you are bringing into your world, into your awareness, and if you can make those things as high vibe as possible,
Yeah.
then you are going to remain at that vibration. And of course, it's impossible to stay there the entire time. But what we want is that the majority of the time that
Yeah,
you're feeling good.
exactly. It's that it's our dominant vibration.
Yeah.
What are you like you say, if you think about how you feel most of the time, that is what you're going to get back in your life. So if you're feeling frustrated, annoyed, angry, pissed off, most of the time, even if it's 51% rather than 49%, if you're feeling that 51% of the time, your dominant vibration, your dominant emotion, those dominant thoughts are what you are going to draw back into your lives. And the problem is that most of us, and I used to absolutely 100 million% be like this, I was always thinking about what I didn't have, my problems, what I was pissed off about. I was thinking about what I lacked. I never ever thought about where well, I did, occasionally sort of daydream of, I knew where I wanted to be, but my focus, and this is the key, my focus was always on worrying, complaining, and feeling in lack and feeling like this isn't what I want my life to look like. Oh my God, this is so shit. Oh, da 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 da, and just going over and over and over that. My main focus was on what I didn't have and what I didn't want. And this is this is the mistake that so many of us do, is that we continually observe the things that we don't want. We observe where we are now, and perhaps where we are now isn't necessarily where we want to be forever, but we keep thinking about that. We keep placing our observation on that, on the lack, on the things that we don't want. And when we place our remember, this is about the observer effect. Quantum freaking physics. It's what you observe. That is what you are going to bring into your life. And so what we want to do is we want to start observing our future. We want to start placing our focus on where we're going. And the reason why, meditating every morning and, visualizing, which I do I pretty much do it every day, visualizing my future, visualizing Jennifer Aniston coming on my podcast, visualizing financial freedom, visualizing the house, whatever it is. I think about those things. I place my attention on them every fucking day. They are fresh in my mind. And this is what we need to do, because by focusing on the things that you want every single morning really intensely and kind of embodying the feelings that we want, because ultimately, all of the things that we want is because we want to feel a certain way. But what we forget is that we can choose to feel that way right now. We can choose, and that's exactly what we want to do. And again, it's the mistake that we make. We think we're going to feel a certain way when we get the thing that we want to get, but actually it doesn't work that way. It works in terms of, you got to become it now. We don't get what we want, we get who we are. We get who we are. We get who we are being. However we are being in the here and now is what we're getting more of. And most of us are being, angry and frustrated and, oh my God, fucking politics and the world is going to shit and blah, blah. And yes, that may be the case, but we don't need to focus on it 24/7. And again, it comes down to, so much of this comes down to, what are you allowing into your mind? What are you consuming all through the day? Are you watching the news obsessively? Are you starting the day by thinking, oh God, look at the news, oh my God, everything's so shit? No, don't do that. We have got to stop doing that. We've got to be focusing intentionally on where we are going and embodying the emotions, embodying them now, because that is what is going to bring them into our lives. Of course, then coupled with, work action towards the things. And it doesn't have to be anything big. And if you want something, something really big, you just have to take little steps towards it. But essentially it's about mental rehearsal every single day. We've got to rehearse our future every day. We've got to mentally rehearse our future every fucking day. Yeah. So that it is at the forefront of our minds, and that is where our focus is going. And also we've got to remember that when we think about what we desire in the future. We don't want to be thinking about it like, oh my god, I really want that, but I'm never going to have it. We want to be thinking about it in an excited way, because when it comes to like, going, I can't believe I'm talking about quantum mechanics, but when it comes to that, every possibility is available. Every possibility is available in this infinite quantum field that we are all swimming in without realizing it. This 5D world, this 5D human experience, sorry, this 3D world, rather, this 3D human experience is a tiny part of what actually exists in reality. It is a tiny part of it. So we've got to start tapping into the massive potential that is in this quantum field that we're literally swimming in.
Yeah. And
Somebody stop me.
that is why just starting your day every single day with some sort of focus, some sort of intention to just get to that point. And that is as simple as that, really. That is like the first step. And I in my inner space sessions, often, pretty much most of the sessions, I will always say, decide who you want to be today,
Yeah,
and visualize that version of yourself. And you can just start almost, obviously you could have a longer term vision, but you can just start almost as well just on who do you want to be today. Who
totally.
is that version of yourself? Can you show up as that version of yourself when challenges and shit hits the fan come along, which they're going to do? How are you going to react? And it's not about just swimming, skipping along, going, everything's rainbows and unicorns. It's not like that. But it's about, can you react in a way that is thoughtful, and the way that the version of you which you in your highest vibration would react, rather than letting it get to you,
Yeah,
getting snappy, letting it ruin your day. React to it how you need to react with it, and then get
yeah,
on. Push it away, get on with the rest of your day. And also, visualizing is key. I mean, Serena Williams talks about how she would visualize every single tennis
right.
match, every single point. She would, and then get there. Jim Carrey's
Yeah,
another example.
yeah,
He once wrote, before he had any money, before he was famous, he wrote out a check for $10 million
yeah,
to himself. And he just believed that that was going to happen. He just knew that was coming to him, and he set himself a date as well. And apparently, just before the date happened, he signed. He
Dumb and
got a
Dumber,
film
wasn't
contract,
it?
Dumb and Dumber, for $10 million.
Yeah,
So that's a really good example of you just got to believe. Oprah Winfrey's another
yeah,
amazing example with The Color Purple, the film. She was
yeah,
desperate to be in that film, and somehow, and she just believed it was going to happen, and then she got there. But it's obviously not just a believing, as you say, isn't enough. You've got to become that version of yourself who thinks who believes it's actually going to happen. And when you do that, then you are going to take the actions and the
yeah,
steps necessary. You're going to take the actions forward. So, very simply, for example, for us, for you and me, in order to grow our businesses, we knew that we had to get comfortable with getting visible, talking to people, attracting people into our worlds.
yeah,
So for me, that was huge. I started a
yeah,
podcast. I had no confidence in the way that I spoke. I hated the way that I spoke. I didn't think I'd be able to do that at all. But I kind of visualized that it was possible, and of
yeah,
course I did it. And then there it is, you and I doing this. We believed that we could do it, and here we are. We're holding each other accountable, and we're doing it. And so many things in my life, becoming a teacher. I've talked about this before. I decided I want to be a teacher. But obviously, it didn't just happen. But I put myself in situations where I went in, volunteered in a school. So it's like taking those little actions, and then I just sort of got onto a scheme where I got paid to do the training, totally by the back door. And it just kind of happened because I took those small steps
mm,
in that direction of what I wanted. And sometimes we have to be patient,
Yeah,
which we both know. Sometimes it does, you got to wait for it. And often it happens when you are fully aligned and ready for it.
yeah,
So I'm not saying that it happens overnight. I think some things can happen probably quicker than others, but sometimes if it's not happening, it's probably because you're not quite ready for it yet. Perhaps you don't quite believe it yet. But it's just about that belief and that consistency and just keeping on believing. And I'm not saying that that's easy either. It's, again, for me, it's been a real roller coaster. Don't get me wrong, the doubt, the wavering of that belief happens quite consistently,
yeah,
but it's about how you then reset and
yeah,
reset your mind and focus. And it's just ultimately such a nicer way to live your life in this way,
yeah.
trying to focus on feeling good. I mean, who doesn't want that? It's a much happier,
Exactly.
more positive, more just a greater way to live life. I don't want to be stuck in the spiral of negativity. I have a couple of, very sadly, I know a couple of people, good friends, who have currently got themselves stuck thinking that the world is against them, everybody's wrong, and you can see how difficult it is for them at this moment to pull
Yeah,
themselves up. But only you are able to make that choice of changing how you're thinking.
yeah,
So, I can't, you can try and say, well, you've got to do it, but actually only you can absolutely make that decision that you are going to change the way you're thinking, because ultimately that's it. If you're
totally.
choosing to be the victim, you're going to be the victim and you're going to attract more crap to you. So it's hard sometimes, but once you pull yourself out of that sort of low vibe, it's much easier to keep yourself high vibe when you're aware of it. A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's a practice. There is no doubt that it's
Yeah.
a practice. It's a practice that you and I practice every single frickin' day. And going back to that victim mentality, I very much used to sit there. And the problem is that when you are in that victimhood state, you don't realize that you're there. You don't. You're not thinking that
Mm,
you're doing that because you're so unaware
yeah.
that you're not. You don't even realize you're in it.
So what
But this is
changed,
about.
Lucy, for you when you were in that? What was it that pulled
Well,
you
I
out?
for me it was it's for me it was I had always known intuitively that there was just something more. I just always felt for decades that there was something more for me. I knew that there was more to life. I just knew it. I just intuitively felt, but I never did anything about it because I was too busy sitting in fucking negativity and at that point I didn't believe. And then basically it started really with well it started literally with like reading books. It started by making the moment that I remember so vividly was it was one morning. I'd been for a run, I was sitting on a bench, it was a beautiful morning, it was early morning, and I literally made a decision. I literally decided that I was going to change my fucking life. I literally was like, I was literally like, this is it. This is it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not living a life that doesn't feel fulfilling, that doesn't feel satisfying, that doesn't feel enough. I made a decision, and then I just threw myself headfirst and immersed myself in all things personal growth. And I read all the books, I listened to the podcast. I just started changing the way that I think, because ultimately it's about getting conscious. So many of us, we're living, and I do it too, of course. Oh Christ, I am so far from perfect, it's not even funny. And I regularly fall back into the program. I regularly fall back into unconsciousness. But the thing is, as you practice this, you get better at recognizing it. So it really starts with that awareness. We've got to get aware. Put a fucking sticky on your bathroom mirror saying, are you aware? Get aware. be conscious, because
Yeah.
ultimately that is how it starts. It's a question of getting conscious every single day, reminding yourself every single day. So I would just advise people to, number one, clarify what it is that you truly want. Don't hold back. Don't be like, oh no, but I couldn't have that. Oh no, this is what I used to be like, but I can't, but this, but that, but that. We make it these excuses. It's like, if someone suggests something, I used to be like, but you don't understand because this and but that and but that. No, screw that. Allow yourself to truly be honest with yourself about what it is that you want. Maybe that is financial freedom. Maybe you want to maybe you want to buy a beautiful house by the sea, or whatever it is. Just get clear on what it is you want, and then you have to rehearse it. You really do have to rehearse this every single day in your mind, what it is that you want. And to use another analogy that I've heard more than one person talk about, including Kathy, and I love this so much. I think this is just such a brilliant way of thinking about it. Every single day, ask yourself, what radio station am I tuning into? What radio station am I tuning into? Because ultimately, as I sit in this room here now, as you sit in that room there now, every single station is available to us. If I had a radio right here, I could, I can tune into any station on that. All everything is available. Like in this room, all the different frequencies are available to me. The question is, what the hell am I tuning into? Am I choosing Megadeth FM, or am I choosing Stevie Wonder FM? Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you choosing to tune into? Because that is that. But that is the question.
Seriously.
Are you tuning into Megadeth FM and thinking about fucking Donald Trump and Elon Musk and, oh my God, I just want to, everything is so shit in the world's, going to hell in a handbasket? Do you want to tune into that? Or actually, do you want to tune into a bit of Fleetwood Mac? Because I know which one I'd rather be listening to. So ask yourself, what do I want to tune into today? And fricking tune into it,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. Yes. I certainly don't want Megadeth FM.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh. No, it's just, it's, I mean, you can see why people call it an awakening, and I know that sounds so wanky, but when you become conscious, that is kind of what it is. It's like you wake up. It's
It
like you
is.
wake up to what is actually going on and is happening, and the fact that you have all this control over your life. And
Yeah,
because if before that, I know that I, for one as well, was just on autopilot,
same.
sleepwalking through my life, thinking that I didn't really have much control or much choice over what I was doing. But when, as you say, you become conscious and aware of what you're thinking, what you're allowing in, then everything changes and you
Yeah.
have this amazing sense of control over everything. And of course, shit happens and think there are things we can't control, but you can control your response to it.
Yeah,
And that's the key. It is like a
yeah.
waking up. And I just and ultimately that's what you and I do with
With what we're
here
doing. Yeah,
and
yeah,
with what
yeah,
we're doing. It's really allowing people to the space, the time, the tools to become conscious and to build that awareness to
yeah,
their thoughts, to their feelings. And yeah, there are loads of tools and loads of ways you can do it, and everybody's got to find their own way. But for me, for you, starting my day with a practice that builds that awareness to my thoughts, to my feelings, to my actions. There's no better way because it's
yeah,
like a reset every single day. It's a little reset. I might have had a really shit day yesterday, gone completely off what I wanted to be doing and feeling, and maybe it was really shit. But rather than dwell on that,
hmm,
by starting your morning again with some sort of routine, whatever that might be, you can reset and start
yeah,
again, and then
exactly.
choose again. And that is literally what it is. It's just about getting things in place to constantly remind you to keep high vibe. Ultimately,
100%. And also, going back to mornings, like, Don't start your day by scrolling through freaking Instagram or listening to the news. Don't do it. Like the problem at the moment is that, well, I say at the moment, I mean, anyway, the problem at the moment is, you know, yes, when you look at the state of the world, you know, it's not in a great state for many reasons. But don't do what everybody else does and focus on all the shite 24/7. We don't need to do this. You see, you've only got to go online to sort of, you know, read the comments on on Instagram, or like, I'm not on Twitter or X, whatever the hell it's called, but I know that, you know, people, there's a lot of negativity there, and people are just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like hanging out on social media, having arguments with people we don't know. It's
Exactly.
literally insanity. And the thing is, we are reinforcing all of the shit. If everybody stopped doing that and went inwards and started, you know, we've got to stop focusing on, oh, well, that person and that person and and you know, oh, he's such a knob and oh, he's ruining the world. Yes, fine, okay. This, you know, unless you're actually going to do something about it, take your focus off that and look at yourself
Yeah.
instead. If everybody took their focus off of social media just for 1 week, if social media was banned and the news was banned for 1 freaking week, I tell you what, we would all feel a fuck of a lot better at the end of that week, no doubt.
Yeah.
So
That's
don't start your day with the news. Don't start your day with scrolling through Instagram and, you know, feeling like crap about yourself, or feeling worried about the world, or anxious or depressed. Don't start your day like that. Start your day with positivity. Listen to a podcast, do a meditation, visualize your future. That's how I want to start the day. I'm so sorry, I'm on such a rant this morning.
it's fine. It's all
Oh
good, Lucy. I
God.
love it when you're going around. I mean, what I would say about social media, not that I don't think you should start your day with social media at all, but also just be intentional. Create a feed that is
Yes.
uplifting. It's totally possible to do.
Yeah.
So Giles, my husband, and he's much better at this than and I'm getting better at it. I'm just going through and trying to delete a lot of the people who I follow, who I don't really follow. But he barely uses Instagram, but he does. And he's only just started getting into it because he was doing some research into Instagram. But he just follows basically people who are doing such inspirational things like running around the world or cycling around the world, or and his feed is and a lot of dogs, like funny dogs, and so there's his feed is so uplifting because
Yeah.
it's he's curated it because the algorithm now is working in his favor. So it's either something which really makes him laugh, something which is really inspiring, or something that actually he wants to learn about. And that is actually, but I'm on a mission to try and do exactly that
Yeah.
because I've got too many people I follow at the moment. So you can create a feed which is uplifting and not full of negativity and crap. Anyway, Lucy,
100%.
we
I know
have been
we've gone over. We've gone.
yeah.
Can I just add one more thing,
Yes,
which is
go.
that I was talking about this on a Thrive Solo call, my membership call the other day, and I've actually done a mini-sode about this. If anyone wants to listen to it, I've done a mini-sode called "Your Mind is like the Instagram algorithm," and our minds are literally like
Mm,
the Instagram
mm,
algorithm. You know, if you watch a reel of a cute baby on Instagram, you're going to get more reels of cute babies. If you watch a reel of something thoroughly depressing, you know, which I did, for example, when the LA fires were well, they're still happening, but when they first broke out, I was obsessively watching, and then literally even though I only follow about 170 odd people on Instagram, most of whom are very positive and uplifting, but because I watched a couple of reels about the fires, my feed was, then every other post was about that, and literally our brains work in the same way. So literally they do. Like, whatever we are putting our attention on, whatever reel we are putting our attention on, our brains are going to find more of that for us to
mhm.
place our attention on. So remember that your mind is also like the Instagram algorithm.
Yeah,
And I'll shut up now because it's 34 minutes past. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Have a good
That's a
day.
good place to start. So yeah, thank you. Take care. Have a good
You too. Lots
day.
of love, babe. Bye.
Bye, bye.
Bye.